Hi and welcome back to my channel, Firzj here. In this video I'll share with you my personal list of the easiest set dungeons in Diablo 3 for each class. No matter what season are you going to play, this guide will probably help you to complete your seasonal objectives much faster, specifically for mastering set dungeons in one attempt. Alright, let's get started. The first one is Barbarian Immortal King. The set dungeon for this set is located next to the ruins of Secheron in Act 3. Just take a few steps forward and you will find it there in the right corner. Inside this dungeon you will find two basic objectives. Kill every elite with the 6 pieces bonus active, meaning you need to make sure that you have both Call of the Ancients and Wrath of the Berserker active at the same time. And the second objective is connected to the first one. You will need to kill 150 enemies while the Berserker is still active. It is relatively easy to complete these objectives, but avoid killing enemies if your Berserker is on cooldown, as the amount of enemies in this dungeon is very limited. So to reduce the cooldown for your Berserker, you can stack cooldown reduction in your gear, change your passive ability to Boon of Bulkathos, and also cast your rage spending abilities more often, like Whirlwind or for example Seismic Slam. The rest is simple, keep killing all the enemies only when you have the Berserker active, try to move fast, don't be afraid to run into the crowd of enemies, and always check the map for the remaining enemies. Moving next, Demon Hunter Marauder. The set dungeon for this set is located in Act 3, Fields of Slaughter. This is one of my favorite set dungeons which I personally play whenever I choose Demon Hunter for a fresh start, especially if the starter set from Hedrick's Gift is also Marauder. So to master this dungeon all you have to do is to spam sentries whenever you move to the next area and try to keep them in the maximum number. But don't worry, if you fail to refresh your sentry you will not fail the first objective. The rest is pretty straightforward. The goal here is to keep your distance as far as possible and kill all the enemies. And while your skills and active sentries can easily annihilate any foe, there is one specific type of enemy that can ruin your dungeon: rockworms. These nasty creatures appear from the ground right below your position, and if you keep standing there, you will fail the second objective. To avoid this, you can easily track their position on your minimap. Once they teleport to your position, you can wait for like half a second and then use Vault or just move away from the spot to let them unburrow for the kill. But if you do this too quickly, the rockworm will continue teleporting to your position, so don't rush, always check the minimap for the remaining enemies and don't be afraid to move forward as your time is limited. Next class is Wizard Taurashe. The entrance for this dungeon is located in Act 1 or Tristram Road, right before the Cathedral level 1. This dungeon doesn't require many preparations or legendary items. You can easily beat this dungeon without equipping much, but you have to use 4 different elements to maintain the buff. Inside there are only 2 objectives. The first one requires you to cast different spells with 4 different elements: fire, lighting, arcane and cold. Basically you can choose any spell you like, as meteors that fall from the sky will destroy your enemies fast, and you can get into close range if you want, there is no penalty for that. The second objective is obvious: don't get hit by a rockworm, the same rockworm that is present inside Marauder's set dungeon I mentioned earlier. And again, to avoid getting hit, simply check the map, wait for 1 second to let it unburrow and try to move away from that spot as far as possible for the kill. Sometimes it may take a few tries, as rockworms in rare cases may still reach you even when you are far away. It is probably related to ping or attack delay or even both. So pay attention to the map, cast different spells to keep Taurashe elements buff and don't stand still. Next class is Witch Doctor Zunimasa. The location of this set dungeon is in Act 3, the core of Ariad. It is hard to miss it, you will find this portal on the way to Asmodan. This is another ranged dungeon that requires you to stay away from angry enemies, and you should kill them before they even reach you. There are not many enemies which can do so, just pay attention to fallen lunatics and fallen minions. Basically you will need to use your Grasp of the Dead as often as possible. To do so you can roll cooldown reduction in all possible pieces, or if you are lucky, find a specific mojo called Wilkins Reach. It will completely remove cooldown on this spell and you can literally spam it to every enemy you see on your screen. As for your fetishes, they can easily tank all incoming damage and protect you from melee attackers, and they aren't too strong to kill your enemies if you haven't applied mana spenders like Grasp of the Dead, so you shouldn't be afraid that fetishes would ruin the dungeon and kill all the enemies before you applied Grasp of the Dead. I have not encountered any problems whatsoever while playing this dungeon, and even elites couldn't stop me. So to keep things short, keep your distance, apply Grasp of the Dead non-stop, plan accordingly and you should be fine. Next set dungeon is for Monk, Sanvuku Monkey King. The dungeon for this set is located in Act 4, the Pinnacle of Heaven, which is right next to Diablo boss entrance. Just take the Silver Spire level 2 waypoint and proceed to the next area. Unfortunately, most of the Monk's set aren't easy, but Monkey King is probably the easiest one among all. This one requires you to stack and maintain Sweeping Wind for the entire set dungeon. You can refresh Sweeping Wind by attacking more enemies, pressing it manually, or just equipping this extremely useful belt named Kiyoshiro Soul. It will automatically refresh your Sweeping Wind and you can basically ignore the second objective completely. Another trick inside this dungeon, the hardest objective here, is to let your decoy kill 20 enemies for 5 times. This decoy is spawned every second when you or your mystic ally hit an enemy, and to make things easier we should use Dashing Strike and Cyclone Strike. These abilities will help you rush into the crowd of enemies and gather them for your decoy, which will later explode to trigger the objective. Just make sure that the timer has not started yet, or else you may fail to register the correct amount of killed enemies. Once the hardest part is done, you can simply rush and slay all the enemies in your way using Way of Light or any other ability which benefits from the 6-piece set bonus. This set dungeon may certainly take some time to master, but in my humble opinion, it is still better than 3 other set dungeons available to Monk. Next is Necromancer. There are many set dungeons for this class which can be easily mastered, but I personally prefer Trag'Oul. Especially with the recent tweaks to this set, it is now much deadlier than ever. The dungeon for this set is located in the upper realm of Cursed Fate Act 4. Just head down the stairs and eventually you will find the entrance. Inside you have very basic objectives. Spend 1k% of your life using skills and heal 1k% of your life. This is basically done with 2 important skills, Devour and Death Knower, and to make things extra easy, Land of the Dead, thanks to which you can finish the second objective within 5 seconds if you spam Devour to heal from your free corpses. Spending 1k% life is also easy. As you go through the dungeon you will encounter many enemies which you will instantly kill with Death Knower with the rune Blood Knower. As the rune suggests, each cast will cost you 10% health, which is what we need for this set dungeon. Simply spam this ability as often as you can and use Devour to heal yourself back to full health. By the time you clear the entire dungeon, this objective should be completed naturally. But if you feel that it might not be enough and you are running out of enemies, then stop for a moment and use your Nova a couple of times before proceeding to the next room. Basically, this set dungeon only requires you to spam Devour, Death Nova and sometimes Land of the Dead. The rest is super straightforward. Then the final class is Crusader with the Invoker set dungeon. Actually I was thinking to include Seeker of the Light dungeon instead, as it doesn't require many items or skills to beat the dungeon, but the mortar objective is what some of the players find annoying and it could randomly fail your run with a single mortar shot. So instead I decided that the Invoker set dungeon is here for the best. The dungeon for this set is located above New Tristram Road at the spot where you start new campaign. Head there and enter the portal. Inside there are 2 super easy objectives that can be done without much preparation. Just let impalers throw their spears at you, but don't get too excited as the time is limited. This objective can be finished on its own if you move carefully through the crowd and don't rush to destruction. As for the second objective, this is where you can fail if you are not patient enough or lack cooldown reduction for 2 required skills, Iron Skin and Concentration. If you fail to apply one of these and elite dies, you will fail the objective and thus ruin your run. Sometimes you may even encounter 2 elites at the same spot, so watch carefully, and if your Iron Skin is about to end, then fall back a little and wait till your skills are ready again. And this is basically it. The whole dungeon can be finished even without Boyarsky legendary gem. Again, use your patience to your benefit and don't rush to kill a crowd of enemies. Well, I guess it is time to conclude this video. I know that some of you might struggle with the several set dungeons, and for this reason I made this guide. I have shown you my most favorite set dungeons for each class, so you can pick any whenever you start a new season. I hope you found this video useful. I wish you good luck in all upcoming seasons and the strength to master all the dungeons quickly. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a nice day and stay safe.